Welcome to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast by yours truly, Colleen Wood. Here is where we celebrate success in real estate and share the wisdom and struggles so that others can be successful too. If you're a new listener, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders, and I'm known for helping realtors earn a lot more money in commissions without selling their soul to the industry and while maintaining balance with what's most important in life. Hello and welcome. I am so excited to be talking to associate broker with Peak Properties out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Lindee, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
This is awesome. So you guys, I'm so thrilled to be talking to Lindee because she has just a wealth of information about her business and how she's grown it. So let's just dive right in. Give us a lay of the land. What does the real estate market look like in Cheyenne right now?
Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Cheyenne, Cheyenne is the capital of Wyoming. We have a population of about 65,000 people, and we're about 100 miles from Denver. So we have a lot of people who are wanting to move here, a lot of people who commute to Colorado even and live in Wyoming because we have cheaper property taxes and housing is just cheaper than Colorado. However, it's not that cheap.
Yeah.
It's still expensive, but we have an Air Force base here. We have a VA hospital. We have state government. We have a Microsoft plant, Walmart and Lowe's distribution centers.
Oh, wow.
And a community college. So there's a lot that brings people to Cheyenne. As a result, our market has stayed really strong. We kind of live in this little bubble in Cheyenne. In the past years, we're not really affected by some of the things that happen, nationwide. However, we have seen increases, obviously we have increases in interest rates and stuff like that. So we have seen lower inventories right now. We could use some more houses on the market. Our house prices have increased despite the interest rates being high or anything like that. Each month we kind of see them creeping up a little bit, which is great. The average home sells for around $415,000. In our days on the market's about 35.
Wow.
So yeah, it's done really well. And I mean, I think we need more homes that are affordable, but our market is really strong here.
That's incredible. How much cash are you seeing in your market?
Not as much as other areas, I wouldn't say. During COVID and stuff, we did see a lot of cash offers, more than usual, but I would say less than other areas like Colorado. We always get compared to Colorado, especially when people are moving here from there. And I don't even know if I'd say like 25% are cash deals.
Wow.
Most people are financing homes.
So would you say that most of people's purchases are for a primary residence, not so much a second home?
Yes, in Cheyenne. So people do get this like view of Wyoming and they're like, oh, it's Wyoming. Well, it's Cheyenne. It's not Jackson Hole. So it's a different community. And yes, I would say most of the people are purchasing primary homes.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, awesome. So what led you to be a realtor? You have a family business. And so tell us a little bit of a background about how you even got started in real estate. Did you come out of high school just wanting to be a realtor? How did this work?
Well, I guess I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
Because then I would have had a head start. So my mom and my stepdad, Corey, owned Peak Properties. They moved to Cheyenne in 2006 and opened Peak. And one of my sisters joined them. And at that time, I was working for the state of Wyoming and I was working on my doctorate in education administration. And I got married and then I had a little boy and I just found myself really wanting to have more flexibility and freedom. And when my mom opened Peak Properties, she was always like, you should sell real estate. And I kept telling her, I have like a master's degree and I'm working on my doctorate. Like I went to school for other things. I'm not going to just go get my real estate license. But, everything changed once I had my son. And I really loved my job with the state, but I decided to just make a change and take that leap of faith and get my real estate license. And so now here I am 10 years later. This year's my 10th year in real estate and I have 2 kids and the best husband ever.
That's
And
wonderful.
I work for a family business with all my sisters and my cousin and my parents. And I'm really glad I did it. I love real estate and I love my job every day.
That's incredible. Do you have anyone on your team that's not a relation?
Yes. So everyone on my real estate team is not a relation to me. So we all sell real estate individually. And then I have a real estate team with 4 other agents underneath me.
Awesome. So you have the family team. So the family entity, it's Peak Properties. And then you have below you, you have 4 other agents that work for you.
Yes.
And do they, as the team, do they all sell their own real estate, or are you guys all working on the same transactions? Do you have like a buyer's agent, listing agent, anything like that?
Okay. So no, we all work on our separate transactions. So when I got going, and then, I mean, I'm just kind of drawn towards helping people.
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's in social work and then a master's in psychology and then education. And so when I got into real estate, I felt like what really helped me be successful was having someone to like mentor me.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's missing for a lot of new agents. And so I decided to start this real estate team. And so I guess it's not probably like a traditional team as people would view it, like you're saying, like with a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, and a transaction coordinator, things like that. So everybody sells their own, as their own individual agent, but then they have me as like a team lead to help guide them and provide training and backup if they're going to be out of town. Or, you know, a few of them, when they first got into real estate, they needed someone to like help them along. And so I would go with them to appointments. It made them easier for them to get clients just because they could say, I have a seasoned agent or someone who has experience that's going to be with us every step of the way. Because I do think that's what's really hard as a new agent, convincing someone why they should hire you when you're brand new over somebody who's done it longer. And so I would be there with them, helping with their clients. And 3 of my agents on my team actually have full-time jobs. And they would like to, you know, make real estate work for them, but they can't just like quit their full-time job and do real estate. So it's nice to have someone like me to be there if they're at work and they can't do something, they can't show a house. And so someone's always there for our clients.
So when you first started in real estate, did you jump in all the way head first into real estate, or did you straddle the full-time gig and trying to do real estate at the same time?
I just quit my job. I just went in full speed. I did do some property management, which I feel like helped me a lot with getting started because I did have some income there as far as managing other people's rental properties. I really didn't like it, but it helped me supplement income just so that I could get going, because it does take a while to start making money in real estate. You don't just get your license and make money the next month.
Right.
It's a lot of work for what feels like free. So yeah, I feel like my situation is a little bit different than just like a typical person getting their license, because my family was already in this business. People in the community knew us. And then I took on that role as a property manager. And so I built some clientele and got out there in the real estate world.
Absolutely. And we are
And
with
then eventually I pushed the property management to the curb because it's hard work.
It's
a lot of
really
work.
hard work.
Yeah.
Property management is tough all the way around, but it's a good source of potential buyers, right?
Yeah. I went and showed rentals, and I remember one day I showed this rental to this young airman, and she was like, these rentals are terrible. And I was like, why are you not buying a house? And she was like, I guess I never thought of that. I could buy a house. And she bought a house. So yeah, it helped me get going, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we don't knock property management, but that is darn hard work.
It is hard work.
So yeah, managing, working for your landlords and then, being the go-between. So it's tough. So how is it working with family? Are you able to separate work and home life, or do you guys just talk real estate all the time?
We just talk real estate all the time.
Is your hubby involved?
No, he's not. So
Good.
I have 3 sisters. We sell real estate, and then my mom and my stepdad. And then I have a cousin who sells real estate. And then my one sister, her husband is a mortgage lender. So I think there's 7 of us in real estate and 3 of us that aren't.
So your husband goes to family gatherings and he's like, how about those Cowboys? You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
let's
for
talk
sure.
about anything else other
He
than.
does. He makes jokes all the time. He's like, wonder what we're going to talk about at Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can't really shut it off.
I mean, so much of your, like your business coaching really talks about like separating your home and work life. But what I've seen, especially like through this podcast and talking through really successful realtors, is that there's just a complete 100% immersion into your business. And it's a part of who you are. You're a realtor and a wife and a mom, but it's like all the things at the same time. And you're doing all the things at the same time. Like you're dropping off kids while you're having a conversation with a potential client and, texting somebody with a showing, and, you're doing your dishes while you're, talking about a contract. And I mean, it's just 100% immersion. And so I don't think, tell me if you disagree with me, but I don't think that there should be a level of guilt of, if you're at home cooking supper and you're having a conversation about a buy sell with a potential client, and, to feel like you're a bad mom because you're not just making dinner.
Yeah, no. And I completely agree with that. Yeah. That's just what I have to do. And there's times where I do have times where nobody's texting me or calling me, but it's really rare. It's like I'm always multitasking.
Mm-hmm. I had a really big issue with it because I really wanted a hard line between one and the other. And I actually find that it's just more pleasing, and it feels like there's more balance in not trying to have that hard line. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is just people who aren't in real estate, even like my husband. I mean, I know he's around it and it's part of our life, but he goes to work and then comes home and then
it's over.
Done. Yeah. And it's not for me. And so sometimes he'll be like, can you please put your phone down? And I'll be like, I can't right now. I have to respond to this person. I know, just give me like 1 second.
Yeah.
Even my kids. Yeah. They started out like loving it and they would love to go with me. And now they're like, we have to show a house. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, it does take a while. I mean, I remember when my family used to get all mad at me about it, and because my phone would ring or my text would ding, or, I'd be responding to somebody's email at 8:00 at night. And it finally just got to the point that I just said, if you guys can't figure out where the money comes from around here, then, you need to figure that out, because this is how this works. And my clients and your clients as well. Like, I want clients that have jobs. Turns out they do a little bit better for financing if they have jobs. And so they're typically working during that 8 to 5 window, and they're looking at houses on the weekends, and they're talking with their spouse about questions in the evenings. And so, yes, do I sort out what's an emergency for this evening versus what doesn't have to happen until Monday? Absolutely. I do that all the time. I'm going to sort some things. But if somebody's like trying to get ready to put in an offer on a Saturday afternoon, absolutely, you should respond.
And I mean, I think that's why they hire you. If you hire someone, I mean, we're in that world right now. That's what we want. We want a response when we want one right now, not waiting. So I try to be very responsive, and sometimes it drives me crazy as well. And I'm like, I just want a minute without my phone going off. I mean, even doing this, we'll see how many messages I have when I get done, just taking like an hour to not respond to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Same. So would you recommend that they go into business with family? Do you think that that's been very good, or do you think that it has like its level of hard, or what are your thoughts on starting a business?
I mean, I think yes. I love that I'm in business with my family. I do think that you have to make a conscious effort to make things work. My mom and Corey have set some really, some boundaries, and have been really instrumental in making sure that we all get along, and that we know that we need to be fair and respectful, and to never let money or a real estate transaction come between us. And I think because we did that from the very beginning, I can't think of a single time we've had like a fight about real estate or been upset about something. So like, for example, if I have a client that calls me and it's a mutual friend with like my sister and I,
Yeah.
and they call me because, for instance, my one sister, she sells a little less real estate because her husband is a mortgage lender and she doesn't have to sell as much real estate for her family. But let's say we both know the client and they call me because they know that I do this a lot and full time. And I would call her and say, this person called and they want to sell their house. Do you want to work the deal together? And we just do it together. Then there's no hard feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think family business works, but you have to set up those expectations and you just have to be really mindful of people's feelings. And we do that really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know that every family would do that well.
No.
I think it's definitely something that you would have to gauge for your family. Like even you coming into work with your mom and stepdad, you'd have to have a very strong relationship, and also a really good position with yourself and your own, not getting verification from your parents on your value, you know what I mean? Because there's going to be some learning curves when you're coming in to go work for your parents. I mean, you're going to mess things up and they're going to have to call you out on the table because you messed something up, and you need to be able to take that feedback and apply it without it being an emotional thing. So yeah, I mean, but just like what you said there about, you guys have some hard and fast rules about, it's family first, real estate second, and we're going to make sure that we're going to take care of each other and be mindful of each other first.
Yes. And we all work on those goals. We all have like the same goals, just, providing awesome service to our clients. We like that we're a family business because that's kind of like our motto. Like, you work with us and you're part of our family. We treat you like family. You become part of it. And so, yeah, it's worked really well for us. So I think if you have that kind of family and you can do that, I definitely recommend working with your family.
That's awesome. So when you got started in real estate, let's talk about those failures. What did that look like?
So I think that there's just this view of real estate that it's just easy and fun and I get to show houses and make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And I knew otherwise because I had watched my parents grow a business and work 24/7 and put all their time and effort into making the business work. But I still faced challenges. It's not something you just sign up for and you're just up and running and making money right away. So I think that the hardest thing, and just like as far as facing failures, was just within myself, like managing my own expectations about what was going to happen and how I was going to get clients. And I think I talked about it a minute ago when I talked about when you're new and you're trying to get clients and you're trying to convince them why they should work with you, you don't get hired sometimes, and I cried a lot. Like the first couple of years, it was like a lot of crying. I took things really personal. And I think I've gotten a lot better about that and started to realize, I mean, there's like almost 500 agents in Cheyenne.
Wow.
And there's only 65,000 people. So pretty much every person knows at least one real estate agent. And if you know me, you know a whole bunch because you know my whole family. And so I think the failures just came from feeling like sometimes you didn't get the job, or, I mean, I've never been fired from a job until I got into real estate.
Right.
Sometimes you get fired. Sometimes your relationships and your personalities don't work with certain people. And it's hard.
How did you dig yourself out of that? Like if you weren't hired, or, I mean, how did you dig yourself out of feeling like garbage about that?
I think it's just taken time and just it happening over and over just to realize it's not like personal.
Yeah.
And that I really do just want like the best for people. So even when I meet with clients and we sign listing contracts and such, I always tell them, like, if there's something that I'm not doing, you have to tell me that, or vice versa. Like, we have to have like an open conversation about how we can improve our relationship and make this work. And sometimes that doesn't work that way. I mean, I listed a neighbor's house one time and they were friends of my husband and I's. And I came home and my sign was not in the yard anymore. And I was like, what is happening right now? And this is just stuff you can't make up. And then I text them and I said, did something happen to my sign? And he's like, yeah, we're just going to do for sale by owner. Can you pick it up? It's on the side of the house. Like, I don't even know if they were going to tell me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was new. This is like a couple years in real estate, and you just don't even know how to like handle some of these situations. And then it was like 2 days later, they had it listed with someone else. So, I mean, I cried a lot. I just had to realize like sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's not on me all the time. And if it's meant to, if they want to work with me, they will. So I don't know. I think it's just time and experience that's made it better.
Mm-hmm. And, I think it's important too to say that I don't think that stuff ever doesn't hurt. And, we're still humans. And I had a client recently who I've done several, helped them with their very first purchase, did their refi. Like their first purchase was absolutely stuck together with gum and a paper clip. And it was just so squeaky tight, but we got it. We got it for them, and they put them into their first home and did the refinance for them. And now they're having a baby. And we've been talking for over a year about them purchasing the next home. And he's an engineer. And so he's one that asks like 1,000 questions. And when he sends an email, it's like 3 pages long. And I had worked so hard with them. And then suddenly they dropped off, and I got a text message saying that they used somebody else. And I was really hurt on that. And that's like, let's see, a long time into the industry, and, over like 17 years in the industry. It doesn't mean it stops hurting. So if it still hurts when, to have somebody decide to use somebody else, acknowledge it and feel it for a minute and then move on. I always have the acronym, and I know I say it on here, but it's FIND. So it's F it, next deal. And that's just the attitude that I have. It's just like, let's go find another one, but it doesn't ever stop hurting entirely. So don't feel like it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely still does. I think I just take it differently. You're right. Just move on.
Yeah. It's got to go to the next thing. So what do you think are the key activities that realtors should invest their time in? And what is a total waste of time?
Okay. So I think that real estate agents who are new or not new, whatever, they need to think of this as a career. It's a profession. It's not a hobby. It's not something you just go, oh, I think I'll sell houses. And if you want to be successful, you have to, number one, make sure people know you sell real estate. And really the best way to do that is to be involved in your community, be involved in like your local boards, talk about real estate all the time. On my real estate team, I tell people, you should be talking about it. I mean, it'll start to get real old. You run into someone in the grocery store. I'm not saying you have to jump in their face and be like, hey, I sell real estate. Do you want to buy a house? But bring it up in the conversation somehow, because it's like the worst when someone goes and hires someone else and then you go, oh, I could have sold you a house. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you sold real estate. You're like, what?
Your secret agent.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just letting people know you sell real estate, however that is, sending postcards, sending letters, social media. I don't think that people who know me, if you ask anyone, they would tell you I sell real estate. I probably like put it down their throat all the time on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one way that doesn't cost any money. Really, you can just talk to people, call people on the phone and talk to them about it. And as far as like something that is a waste of money, I think probably some of those lead companies that say they'll send you a bunch of leads.
Yeah.
And they could be real people or never answer the phone. And so I think it's just really important to do your research and not spend a bunch of money on people that you don't know. I think work on that sphere of influence and who you know to get business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really well said. I think, especially with some of that, and I've talked to realtors that have had really good success with like online lead sources and stuff, but I just think anytime you have a lead that doesn't have some sort of a recommendation behind it, your conversion rate is going to be so low. I mean, you're going to have to talk to 100 to 150 of those online leads in order to convert one, versus an actual referral from somebody who knows you, who's done business with you. You're going to convert about 25% of them. And so you're only talking to 4 people to convert one deal. And a lot of times those other 3, they'll come out in the wash eventually and work with you down the road. They just might not be ready. So it's just like, how do you want to spend your time? And also, those lead sources cost so much money. And there are several of them that are out to replace us and to replace us as realtors and as lenders. They just would like to just cut us out. So definitely don't be spending your money on something that is going to be helping them take your job. So yeah, absolutely. So do you work from an outline or a schedule for your day, or do you just totally shoot from the hip?
So I'm not always the most organized. And I would say, I use my calendar, but I could be better. I mean, I could block off time. I don't. I mostly just shoot from the hip. So if I have appointments, those are in my calendar, but then there's always just open space, and it drives my husband crazy because it could have nothing on it, and it happens literally every day. I say, oh, I don't have anything, and then pretty soon I'm like, I gotta go show a house, I gotta do this, I gotta just do the CMA. I mean, he constantly teases me, but I just do it when I have time. And sometimes I'm like, it's not in the calendar, they just called, I can't, I just gotta go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part that really is helpful with working with a family is we all like back each other up. So like I said, I do this so I can spend time with my kids and I can be at my kids' events, and my family's first. And so if, let's say I got off this with you and someone called and wanted to show a house, like right now my kids are at home with my niece who's watching them, but I have sisters who I would say, hey, I got to go show a house, and I would drop my kids with my sisters and they would watch them. And so I think I just kind of go with the flow. Whatever happens in the day happens, and sometimes it just gets away from me, but I just kind of respond to things as they come in.
Well, it keeps it very exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So do you ever shut your phone off, ever?
No.
No?
No way. I probably should, but no, I never shut it off. And I do think I work like 24/7, which, I mean, I've taken the real estate classes and about shutting your phone off and just setting boundaries. I'm just not good at it. I like to respond to things like right as they come in. I don't like to wait, or I'll forget or not respond. However, I do think I do pretty good at hanging up my phone when I go to bed. Like, so I go to bed and I'm kind of an early sleeper and I wake up early. So 9, 10 o'clock, I hang my phone up. And when I put my phone up, I don't pick it back up. It's not like I'm checking it, or I definitely do not wake up in the middle of the night and do emails. I mean, there's agents who you'll get emails at 2 a.m. and I'm like, I need sleep.
Yeah.
I have to have sleep or I can't function. So I do that. But if I had a deal going on, I could be responding late into the evening if it was something I was negotiating right at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm the same too. I mean, I think I feel better if I can just respond and just do whatever it is that needs to be done when it comes to me, because then I have less to do. I don't feel like I'm going to forget something, or, that somebody's going to get mad because I didn't respond fast enough. So I typically do. And unfortunately, I'm emailing while I'm driving, which makes my husband so crazy. But I have a very long, very straight road to my house, and it's gravel, and I can just go like 25 miles an hour and voice, text, email, and just knock things out. And it's true. I mean, that's just what we do. And it seems to work really well. Or I'll put something into my calendar. If there's something I need to do, I'll put it into my calendar for the next day, so I know that it gets done because it's in a checklist, because I respond off of my calendar.
I do too. Yeah. And that's how I remind myself to do things.
Yeah. It's just, if there's something that needs to be done the next day, I just put it as an appointment in my calendar, even though it's just a task. Okay. So Lindee, how do you define success in real estate, and what does that look like for you?
Well, success in real estate for me is not really like a number of transactions or like a dollar amount. I think it's more just creating positive impacts on people's lives and working with as many people as I possibly can, helping them find dream homes and making smart financial decisions. And just building relationships with people. So I think that as long as I feel like I'm helping people, that I'm successful.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you have any big grandiose dreams that are attached to your career that you want to accomplish before you retire?
I mean, I'd really like to have a team that I can give my work to and do less,
Mm-hmm. Or do more of what you're really good at. Do more of,
I really love like marketing and stuff like that. I mean, I really love working with people too. I love meeting people. Sometimes I find myself just like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then I get there and I'm like, I could talk to this person all day long.
Yes.
Just like, getting to know people from different walks of life and different experiences and, first-time home buyers and people buying their 20th home or whatever it is.
Yeah. 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 I'm the same way where when I think about it, like going to go do something, I'm like, oh, I don't know that I'm ready. But then as soon as I get in the truck and I start headed in that direction and I get to talk to people, it fills my cup. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I'm tired when I'm done, but yeah. So I think that's that, kind of an introverted extrovert kind of thing where I introvert really hard when I'm at home and I do my shut it down entirely, except for what I need to do. I'm not a super social person outside of work, but I love the social that I do for work. So yeah, it's just an amazing career. All of it. I really, really encourage anybody that's on the fence. I think we get a lot of realtors or people that are thinking about going into real estate listening to this. And I think the biggest takeaway that I hear resonate over and over again is that real estate is the type of career that you can make it your own. You can make it your own version. It's so very much uniquely you as a person, and that your business can be very successful because people are attracted to the unique version of you. Yeah. So yeah. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree. And there's somebody for everyone. And that's what I think about also. I mean, there's so many different people out there and you have the opportunity to help as many as you want.
Yep. Absolutely. And you don't have to be a chameleon. You don't have to change who you are in order to satisfy that client. I hear that too. And it's like, you don't have to be a chameleon. You can just get along with people in your own way and help them in your own way. You don't have to change who you are.
Exactly.
And I think that that's where real estate can get really exhausting for people, is trying to be something who they're not, and keeping that up for a long period of time is really, really exhausting. Whereas people that have these long-standing careers, they're just being them, doing them, hanging out on the baseball field or wherever they usually are. They just happen to be talking about real estate too. So
exactly.
Yeah. Super cool, super inspiring. Your story is amazing. I love the family aspect. I think so many realtors end up not having any relationship with their family because the only relationship they have is with their real estate team and with their clients. And so, I mean, you're just putting a stake in the sand and saying, we're going to do both. And I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lindee. This was phenomenal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Just as a reminder, I'm the producing branch manager of the Wood team at Hometown Lenders. What we are known for are three things. Number one, we close on time. Number two, we keep our realtors in the sales seat at all times by keeping them updated on their current transactions and helping them to feel confident about going and selling another house. Number three, when you entrust us with a lead, we follow up on that lead until they buy, fly, or die. Leads are never lost to our lack of follow-up. Our number one priority is for you to earn more money in commissions so that you can improve the lives of your family, community, and in turn, our country. So can I count on you for that next buyer lead? I would love to work with you too. Also, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please just reach out to my office. All right, we'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Success Realtor Podcast. Bye-bye.